This essay example, as well as thousands of others, is available in text format on our website for free and without registration. Simply Google Ivy Panda Free Essays.
Interpersonal conflicts are inseparable from living in human society and building relations with other people. Even though their scope varies, some universal strategies, referred to as communication theories, can be deployed to solve them. The key to using them successfully is learning to identify the needed theory and finding ways to adapt it to cope with a conflict on a case-by-case basis. This paper attempts to analyze the personal experience of the collision of interests and apply the course material to handling it. There were numerous conflicts I was involved in, but I decided to choose the one that was the most significant concern to me for analysis. Most children have conflicts with their parents regardless of age and social status. I am not an exception to this overall rule. I often have conflicts with my parents over my choice of lifestyle and spending free time. The parties involved are my father and mother on one hand and me on the other. The conflict is a lasting one because, as long as I can remember, my parents taught me what I should think and that they know what is better for me. As I grew older, I believed I was adult enough to make similar choices, deciding where to spend time with my friends or how to manage my day. We started quarreling every time I tried to prove it to my parents. I believe that the reason for the conflict is that they refuse to accept that I have grown up. Even though my father and mother want to protect me from making mistakes that might affect my future welfare, I cannot see the reasons why choosing a hobby is a bad thing. The nature of our conflict may come down to the fact that family ties have always played a significant role in making the life decisions of both mom and dad. So, it might seem appropriate to them to direct me throughout my life just the way their parents did. Inter-family conflicts, i.e., the conflicts between children and their parents, have become the subject of numerous scholarly studies in different areas of research, from psychology to communication. I believe that my case is closely related to the course materials and scholarly articles because the newly obtained knowledge might be beneficial for determining the appropriate model of communication with my parents and coping with the problem in our family. The course materials are relevant because they serve as the background for identifying the nature of the conflict and identifying the strategies for overcoming it. The scholarly articles are sources of additional knowledge necessary to improve the understanding of the initially received information and find the ways that have proved to be effective in cases similar to mine. The primary concern in our family is ineffective communication. The communication model is often viewed through the prism of cultural norms and ethnic background. That said, there are different dimensions of inter-family dialogues. They are based on the perception of power and freedom to express opinions. For example, my family unit is characterized by what is referred to as a vertical-horizontal orientation of power distance. This type of strategy for building family relations implies more authority for parents to control their children's lives regardless of their age. In addition, the findings of some investigations point to the fact that inter-family conflicts are often evoked not only by ineffective communication but also by discrepancies in the perception of life and central values, and differences in developmental needs, i.e., what is known as the generation gap. These scholarly studies have become a supplement to the course materials, which have not mentioned similar ideas. There are different types of conflict resolution styles. For example, some authors identify withdrawal, positive problem solving, and conflict engagement as the primary strategies for solving conflicts. Withdrawal is characterized by ignoring the existence of the problem. It means that the parties involved do not recognize the existence and significance of the problem. The second strategy, positive problem solving, implies conducting negotiations to find the most appropriate and comfortable solution to the challenge. Finally, conflict engagement is about losing control over situations and emotions and getting involved in the active conflict. Cahn and Abigail highlight that people in conflict choose either withdrawal or aggression, which makes conflicts ambiguous and unpredictable. The authors also note that there are only two types of strategies that can be used to handle problems: destructive and constructive. Recollecting the findings of the scholarly articles mentioned above, it can be said that positive problem solving is a constructive strategy while conflict engagement and withdrawal are destructive ones. Even though withdrawal is ignoring the conflict, it might lead to its escalation in the future. Communication is key to establishing a comfortable conflict-free atmosphere in a family unit. If it is impossible to avoid conflicts, there are different communication strategies which can be used by family members. Some of them are aggressive, adaptive, protective, and inconsistent communication. Aggressive communication is characterized by overt conflict and verbal violence. Adaptive strategy implies functional dialogue, which is close to reaching constructive solutions. Protective communication is about determining that one parent is a protector of a child's interests. Finally, the inconsistent type is simply ineffective. It means that the preference is given to power instead of well-considered arguments. Cahn and Abigail determine similar types of communication. However, they identify what is known as collaboration and compromise. The first type of communication is similar to adaptive communication, while compromising strategy implies trading out the desired conflict solution by providing arguments and something of benefit in return for the demanded changes. To sum up, while conducting this research, I have come up with several significant conclusions. First of all, I realized that the model of communication used within my family unit was ineffective and inconsistent. The same can be said about the deployed conflict resolution type. In most cases, I chose to ignore the existence of the problem, i.e., withdraw from the conflict. When I tried to make my parents understand me, I got involved in overt conflict using an aggressive communication strategy. I believe that there is a perfect solution to my problem. The challenge could be handled if I use adaptive communication. I think it might also be useful to become open in expressing my thoughts and opinions instead of disregarding the issue. This essay on experience of interpersonal conflicts was written and submitted by a student just like you. The IvyPanda Samples database hosts thousands of works similar to this one on various subjects. Visit ivypanda.com to find what you are looking for, free of charge.